Welcome back to International Star Media, the gold star standard at the gold star standard. Reactions, reviews, and news you can use. Once again, I am your host, International Yada, for the records and the dollars, and check it out. Just when you think it don't get no crazier. When the dumb don't get no dumber. Here we go. I want y'all to check this out. 9 men and 1 woman indicted on various charges of rape, sex trafficking, and promoting prostitution. Here we go. This is the Bronx Hall of Justice. This is where this happened at in the Bronx. Here we go. Bronx District Attorney Darcel D. Clark announced August 7th that 9 men and 1 woman have been charged with sex trafficking of a child, promoting prostitution, rape, and other charges involved in the teenage girl in the Bronx. The victim courageously testified in the grand jury to expose her alleged traffickers and rapists, Clark said. She is receiving supportive services from our Crime Victims Assistance Bureau and has been able to move on to a better future. This young girl lived a nightmare of abuse and exploitation that began with a dating app. Please remember that there is help for victims of trafficking. We can get you out of it and protect you. Dealing with these minors. Dealing with minors is a major problem, and it needs to stop. Here we go. Clark said the defendants are variously charged in a 79-count indictment with the sex trafficking of a child, second-degree promoting prostitution, third-degree promoting prostitution, third-degree rape, third-degree criminal sexual act, sexual misconduct, use of a child in a sexual performance, promoting a sexual performance by a child, and endangering the welfare of a child. She said they were arraigned on prior dates before Bronx Supreme Court Justice Lawrence Bushing, with defendants Joshua Green, 38, aka Tank from the Bronx, being arraigned most recently on July 24th and having a bail hearing on August 7th, during which bail was set at $100,000 cash, $200,000 bond, $300,000 insurance company bond at 10%. According to the investigation by the Bronx's DA's Human Trafficking Unit and the NYPD's Human Trafficking Squad, in November of 2022, defendant Tayshawn Green, 49 of the Bronx. Hold on one second. Here we go. Tayshawn Green, 49 of the Bronx, a nephew of Joshua Green, met a 16-year-old girl on the dating app Tag.
What?
And we don't know, here at International Star Media, the gold star standard, at the gold star standard, we cannot understand why. You can't understand. You predators out there cannot understand that a minor cannot consent. Doesn't matter if you met her on an app, you met her at a park, you met her walking down the street or a grocery store. Minors cannot consent. Leave those children alone. Here we go. Within weeks, the defendant allegedly began pimping her out, impersonating her on apps, and arranging hundreds of dates in New York and Atlantic City, New Jersey, between December 2022 and March 2024. The court heard that he allegedly supplied her with ecstasy before their encounters and kept all of her earnings. According to the investigation, Tayshawn Green also allegedly fractured the victim's jaw during a beating in New Jersey, in a New Jersey hotel, and also allegedly tracked the victim and other girls' whereabouts on the Life 360 app. They're saying this man used the Life 360 app to keep tabs on her and track her, and also other girls. Here we go. Tayshawn Green is currently incarcerated in New Jersey and will be arraigned on this case at a later date. The court heard that the victim was also allegedly forced to sell crack cocaine.
Crack is whack.
To Johns by Joshua Green, who also allegedly trafficked the girl. And I believe this is the nephew right here. This is the uncle and nephew, Joshua Green and Tayshawn Green. Here we go. Let's continue with this. Prosecutor said Jamel Cameron, 30, from Queens, was arraigned on December 10, 2024, and bail was set at $150,000 cash, $300,000 bond, $300,000 partially secured bond at 10%. They said Brianna Jamison, 27, also from Queens, was also arraigned on December 10th, 2024, and bail was set at $10,000 cash, $25,000 bond, $25,000 partially secured bond at 10%. They said Cameron and Jamison allegedly pimped out the same team at the Holiday Motel, located at 2291 New England Thoroughway in Eastchester section of the Bronx, setting up dates through online commercial sexual advertisements on website megapersonals.com. See, they use that what they call a digital footprint, and all they had to do was have the victim, the minor's phone, and they can pull up everything. You got to use your head for something more than a hat rack out here. Find something legal to do. Let's continue. They said other defendants are accused of paying to engage in sex with the victim, who was a minor. They said Shandell Briggs, 27, of Manhattan, Jaquan Cherry, 31, of New Rochelle, Chester County, and John Abibiyi, 26, of the Bronx, were arraigned on December 10th, 2024, and were released without bail. These are the Johns of the tricks that had sexual encounters with this victim, with this minor. They were released without bail. Still charged, but released, probably because they had no prior knowledge with the victim being a minor. Here we go. They said Louise Musella, 43, of Queens, was arraigned January 10th and was released without bail. Dale Gordon, 27, of Naugatuck, Connecticut, was arraigned on March 3rd and released without bail. And Richard Stanley, 55, of Newburgh, Orange County, was arraigned on December 18th, 2024, and was released without bail. Clark and the defendants are due back in court in October. The case is being prosecuted by Major Case Assistant District Attorney Stephanie M. Riley and Assistant District Attorney Stephen M. Knotflyer, Chief of the Human Trafficking Unit, under overall supervision of Adrian Gunta, Deputy Chief of the Special Victims Division, and Joseph Miroff, chief of the Special Divisions Unit. They got a lot of manpower on this 10-person indictment, with a lot of focus, it seems like, on the guys at the top, like Tayshawn here. You really got to use your head for something other than the hat rack out there. These people will throw you away. And if you're dealing with a minor out here, you get what you deserve. You should not be dealing with minors. Once again, minors cannot consent. And you should know that. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Here we go. Let's check out this news story on it. Ignorance of a law, once again, is no excuse of not knowing the law. Here we go.
Disturbing sex trafficking ring uncovered in the Bronx. 10 people now facing charges for their involvement that included the exploitation of a teenager. Thanks for joining us here on News 12 The Bronx, where local matters. I'm Marissa Santorelli. News 12's Heather Fordham has the exclusive details on how they use social media to prey on their victims and shares the warning signs people should look out for.
Inside a hotel room off the New England Thruway is where a 16-year-old girl was sold for sex.
Jamel Cameron used violence to keep the victim in line. He brandished a gun when she told him that she didn't want to work for him anymore.
And I'm going to stop this right here, and we're going to take this from the top, but I want to say the elements needed once again to be found guilty of sex trafficking are force, fraud, coercion, violence, and or the threats of violence. As you can see, the guy Cameron, they say, used violence against this minor victim. When dealing with a minor, those elements are not needed. Force, fraud, coercion, violence, and or the threats of violence are not needed. By the simple fact that you dealt with a minor is enough. And if they find you guilty, you can face up to life in prison. If this is a federal case and they've been found guilty, they more than likely will receive a life sentence in prison. This is not a game. This is not a joke. And you should find something legal to do. Let's go.
Stephen Kneffler is the chief of the human trafficking unit at the Bronx. Inside a hotel room off the New England Thruway is where a 16-year-old girl was sold for sex.
Jamel Cameron used violence to keep the victim in line. He brandished a gun when she told him that she didn't want to work for him anymore.
Stephen Kneffler is the chief of the human trafficking unit at the Bronx District Attorney's office. His team is responsible for prosecuting a sweeping 79-count indictment that uncovered a sex trafficking ring that preyed on victims across the country and brought them here to the Bronx to be solicited for sex. Among 10 people arrested is Tayshawn Green, a 48-year-old from the Bronx. He allegedly pimped out a 16-year-old girl more than 100 times.
Our victim in this case was recruited on a dating website called Tagged. He began pimping her out, trafficking her very shortly after that. She didn't know when she met him that she was going to be trafficked, but she knew that she was talking to a real person who said, listen, I can help you out.
Kneffler says that vulnerability of needing help is what traffickers feed off of to find their victims.
They run away from home. They are very much at risk of being trafficked because they will be approached on a park bench. They will be approached in a subway. And when a person offers them a place to stay, there are strings attached to that.
The DA's office has received 263 human trafficking referrals from July of 2020 to March of this year, but that number is likely way higher as many cases go unreported.
That traumatic bond that makes them very likely to return and forgive the trafficker and not want to tell the truth about what's happening to them.
Kneffler says traffickers are also using social media platforms to pry on young victims. They encourage parents to monitor their teens' social media accounts, encourage them not to interact with any strangers online, and make sure their accounts are set to private.
Hey, and that's what that is right there. Some of these stories are hard to believe. Some of these stories, I'm like, is this for real? These guys really just absent-minded out here. Getting into this sex trafficking, thinking you got something going on. You're gonna find yourself in prison for a long time. It's trying to exploit minors. Once again, minors cannot consent. A lot of you guys out there looking for some type of get-rich-quick scheme. So you deal with these minors to try to make some money off these minors. Hey, it's not the way to go. Find something legal to do. International Star Media, the Gold Star Standard, at the Gold Star Standard. Reactions, reviews, and news you can use. Once again, I am your host, International Yada, for the records and the dollars, and we will see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share the video.